Welcome everyone. Welcome to this Beltane full moon and lunar eclipse ceremony, May 2023. Let me stop the share. I'll come back to that later, but I want to welcome everyone
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the. Oh, Becky's here. Hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome, welcome everybody. I'm so grateful that you're here today. It's um it's not so early for us on the East Coast, but it's this pretty early in the morning on the West Coast. But I said it at this time because the eclipse begins in about 45 minutes. We won't see it here in the Western Hemisphere, but the energy is there. And so I thought this would be a good time for us to be in ceremony as it slips into that eclipse phase. Um, so if you haven't already, smudge yourself. I've had mine going for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, smudging and smoking around. And you actually don't have to use burning. I mean, that's the traditional thing to do. But if you have flowers or some herb, you can actually clear your air. Fresh rosemary or fresh lavender is an excellent herb to use for just brushing through the air to clear your space, because sometimes I know a couple of times this week I've had my sweetgrass and sage burning. It just kind of filled my throat because I'm in a room, and sometimes that's a little harder to do that. So in a few minutes, I'll talk a little bit about these three events, and we'll participate in some ceremony. And then at the end, I'll have some time for you to share if you would like to do that. But right now, before I call the directions, I just want to remind you, if you'd like to get these things together for ceremony, a container of water that you can either spray, I have one like that, or that you can just dip your hands in, and a container of water to drink from. We're going to bless both of those in a few minutes. And a picture of water that brings memory to you. I have two of those with me. This one is a trip to the Netherlands, and I love that water flowing through the bridges in Amsterdam. And then this one is a memory of the bridge that my late husband built before he died, and it sits over my creek. My creek is not nearly this big, but it's a painting of that. So that's my happy memory and my memory from the past. A little bit sad, but very joyful because it's there and I'm grateful for it. And if you have flowers for Beltane, or if you're wearing something that brings you joy and makes you want to dance, this is one of my favorite Egyptian dresses. And so it's one of my dancing dresses. And so I've worn that today for that purpose. And bring a candle if you have one. A candle is good because it will represent our fire. I actually have two with me today. One I'll light in a few minutes. This one is an orange one, for orange for joy and for courage and for moving forward. And it's very special to me, bringing joy, because this is a candle holder that one of my daughters made for me long time ago. She was still in high school at the time. So again, I brought forth another item of joy in the celebration. And I also, if you saw the email, I asked you to bring memories that you want to release and heal, and then your open heart, and a journal and a small piece of paper, if you can. We'll talk about that before we get to that piece of it too. So the moon represents divine feminine energy, and intuition. And its cycles show us spiritual birth, death, and rebirth, and eclipses intensify all of that. So join me now as I call the directions, and we will call in the ancestors and the moon to join us as we go through ceremony today. I am using my Hathor rattle as we call the directions, and I start in the center. And I say, thank you, divine light. Thank you for coming and joining, bringing the light to us as we go into ceremony today. And I turn to the east. To the east, calling in the sun gods and goddesses, Ra, Nut and Tefnut, and the Celtic line, Anya and Lu. We call you to bring illumination. We call you to help us lighten our pathway so that we may awaken and truly, truly shine a light on those dark crevices that we need to open and release. We thank you for coming. And I turn to the south, the direction of joy and laughter and dance. This is a direction that we would associate with Beltane because it is about joy, it is about ceremony, it's about celebration. And the goddesses rise up and invite us to dance with the rhythm of life. And we say thank you. And I turn to the west that brings us the night sky, the west where the sun sets, and Nut stands in the west, the Egyptian Nut, to gather up the sun in her body, to hold it in gestation for us through the night, and to illuminate our way in the morning. We see the moon in the west, and so we call the moon to be with us. We call the moon to light our path as well, because this moon will take us into an eclipse energy, and we will go into the introspection of the darkness from the eclipse. And we say thank you. We take the guidance and the knowledge from the ancestors of the West and move to the north, where Ma'at and Danu rise up and call us to not only hear the knowledge from the ancestors, but now to transmute that knowledge into wisdom consciousness. And as we remember who we are, they call us to rise up as warriors of the heart. And we say thank you for your guidance. Coming full circle back to the center, I raise my arms to the heavens and say thank you to the moon, to our sun, to the planets, to the Milky Way, to all the stars that shine down upon us. And of course, bowing our head and dropping our hands to the earth, we thank Mother Earth for holding us. For holding us and guiding us through the ceremony, but for holding us each and every day, every moment. Thank you. And I say, Aho, Ashi, Amen. Blessed be, Hamdulillah. And so it is. Welcome, welcome everyone. Let me put my rattle back over here. I have a quote for you today, and I thought it was quite appropriate. This is from a website called Moon Omens. I get a daily email from them, and this is one of the quotes that came through. I think it pertains to our. The quote is, "I am not limited to what I see right now in my current physical reality. Everything I can imagine, I can create because it already exists in a different timeline. I am the creator of my own reality." From the Lucas Notes at moonomens.com. So what I'd like to do, because this is a triple celebration today. Beltane is a Celtic celebration that happens around May the 5th, but the lunar date of Beltane is the full moon, in the first full moon in May. Sometimes it falls late April. This one is today, May the 5th. And so we're celebrating Beltane, the sun coming back into play with the Beltane, and we're celebrating the moon and the eclipse and the full moon in Scorpio brings us the water element. So we have lots of things happening today. So let me first open my screen and talk for just a brief minute about Beltane. This is one of the cross-quarter days, and it's a fire ceremony, as they all are, and it's considered a sacred day. This ceremony is dedicated to fertility, fertility of people, but fertility of the earth as well. And in the Northern Hemisphere, it's spring, and things are growing. And so it's about the boundless growth and the unfolding of nature, the sensual passion and pleasure for the joy of life. And this is the time of the year when the god and goddess join together in that sacred union to fertilize the earth. And I've called on Bridget to be with us today. Bridget is an ancient pre-Celtic goddess who eventually received the title of saint. So she is both from the pagan goddess line and the Christian saint line. So we consider her a bridge to help us during times of transition. And she is known for healing and for protection and guidance. She is known as a goddess of poetry, healing, smithcraft, and midwifery, which all probably fall into the Christian saint line, but the prophecy and divination probably are a bit more on the pagan side. But she dances with Beltane and asks us to remember to dance with gratitude. So this is a short recording that I have of a Beltane fire that was in my ceremony field, and some of you on this call were at that ceremony back before COVID. And so what I'd like you to do, I'm going to play this a couple of times, so it will run through twice and give you just a couple of minutes. But I'd like you to think about, or even if you'd like, write down things for which you are grateful, those things that bring you joy, things that cause you to celebrate, things that are a part of this joyous fire of Beltane. So listen to the fire crackle and watch it go through its motions as you think of these gratitudes. So hope you've had time to think of just a few little things. And if each of you would mute yourself just so we don't have background noise coming through, and feel free to unmute and ask a question or something as we go through this if you'd like. But initially, if you'd mute yourself, that would be helpful. So, oh, I meant to say, if you had not already lit your candle, light your Beltane, your fire for the Beltane candle. I'm lighting my orange one now. The white one I've had going for quite some time. I have now the orange one burning for Beltane. And I hope that you have something that you've brought to celebrate Beltane. As I said earlier, I have one of my favorite Egyptian dresses, and that's my piece of joy that I brought with me today. And maybe you brought flowers or something else. But let's talk for just a minute about the moon, the full moon first. I mean, we've talked just briefly about Beltane. Let me talk for just a little bit before we get to the eclipse about the moon. This is a picture that I took in August 2021 of the full moon, and I thought I love the way that the rays came out from the moon. I don't know if you can see it, but these are trees. I'm in a very wooded area, and I had turned my camera up, and these are trees around it, and that was the result. And there's a star or a planet right up here above it from when that was taken. So today's full moon will peak at about 1:30 Eastern time. But in North America, the moon will not be showing for us until this evening. Today's full moon rises at 8:30 and sets tonight Eastern time, and sets tomorrow morning at 6:30 in the morning Eastern time. So we're in this liminal space with the eclipse and full moon occurring visually in other places, but happening with us right now, even though we can't yet see the moon. So, and this full moon is in Scorpio, which carries, and the lunar eclipse carries some heavy energies that are likely to stir up some deep emotions. We may feel things from our past or hidden shadows that are coming forward and challenging us. They might be secret things, and we might feel ourselves being, like we're exposed. But that doesn't mean that others see those things. It's just the emotions that we're dealing with as we look at that. So this particular moon is coming in Scorpio. Scorpio is this feminine energy. Our last, excuse me, in the new moon and the last eclipse, the solar eclipse, came in Aries, but very quickly, like within 15 minutes, transitioned to Taurus, which is a sign of Earth and the material world and stability. But this eclipse and full moon are coming in Scorpio, and Scorpio invites us to transcend into the non-physical, spiritual aspect. And with that, Scorpio is this feminine energy that calls us to embrace Mother Nature. Scorpio helps us face our fears in those dark places, because some of those may emerge with this eclipse energy. But it's not something to bring fear It's something for us to acknowledge and recognize and try to walk past the fear as we open ourselves to our divine guidance and step into gratitude for the challenges. So our eclipse today is what's called a penumbral lunar eclipse. It's a slightly dimming luminosity, not as strong as a total eclipse or a partial eclipse, but it still magnifies the intensity. It starts at about around 11:15 Eastern time, peaks about 1:30 Eastern time, and then closes off at about 3:30. It will be seen in its entirety in India, and then some partial view of it through parts of Asia, Africa, and Australia. But we won't actually see the eclipse. But just like we don't see the full moon right now, we still are in the energy of the full moon, and we are in the energy of this eclipse. So just, I looked at a lot of different things trying to get an easy explanation of this penumbral moon. But what happens is the moon is full because the sun is shining directly on the moon. And so we see it as a full moon. But when there is a lunar eclipse, the earth gets in between the sun and the moon. But in this case, the moon is sliding into the shadow of the earth. So it's not just out here totally blocked from the sun by the earth, but in the shadow. This gray part around the earth is where the earth has a shadow. And this particular moon is settling down at our southern node, coming into shadow there. So it will pass through the Earth's extremities, in this about 3 hours total as it comes totally back out into it. And it will not be absolutely dark, but it will lose much of its illumination. And that's important for us to think about the introspection that comes with that. Lunar eclipses are always about intensity and culmination. And so we put things into action. Sometimes we do it consciously and sometimes it's unconscious. We put those things into action, and the eclipses bring those things to culmination. Sometimes they just kind of pass on and come to a natural end, and that's fine. Other times things truly manifest. So for this particular eclipse period, think back about what seeds you planted or projects you started or where your life was in November 2021. We were still pretty heavy into COVID at that point. So just make a note of that so later you can kind of think back to maybe something that you started. And now, between now and the next set of eclipses in October, you may find that journey that started in November 2021 is coming to a close. So during whatever meditations you do or contemplations or journaling, take note of those beginnings from late 2021. Look at things that may have occurred through this, and then when you get to October, to the next two eclipses, think about how those things are coming to a conclusion and what that means for you. So this full moon and lunar eclipse is pretty intense, and it may present us with some unpredictable, unexpected things. So just know that the Mother Moon holds you in her loving arms. She's there. She wants to help you and hold you and let you come full circle into all of the things that you need and want. So the introspection that comes with any eclipse, it comes certainly with a new moon, and we have a different kind of journey with the full moon. But the eclipse, ooh, the eclipse takes us into introspection because it blocks out the light. And so this one may bring some intense emotions, but remember that those emotions coming up might be our subconscious desires calling us to face our feelings, to work through some issues. So let that moon mother hold you. And this is a time, this particular moon is a time to celebrate spirituality and mystery and magic. So I've asked you to bring some things with you to ceremony today. And I'd like you to really take a minute and look at those things that you have. I've brought with me one of my Kuan Yin statues. I always think of her at the full moon, and so this is one of the things I've brought today that brings me joy and brings me guidance. I have my orange candle burning as well as a white candle, and my waters that are over here. And so just look at those things, and if you have something that brings you a memory of Beltane, like flowers, or maybe you have on dancing clothes like I have on, one of my favorites. But just think about those and smile as you look at those things and say, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me as I go through this ceremony today. Say thank you to those objects, and thank you to the energy that brought those objects into your life. And as you smile and say thank you, feel that light of joy surrounding you, surrounding and enfolding you and holding you, no matter what comes about through this eclipse time. Remember that light of joy is holding you. So now I want to take you a little bit away from that light into introspection. So for just a minute, close your eyes and look into the dark. A lunar eclipse offers us the opportunity to see both our inner light and our shadow side. So look into your shadow side for just a moment. That energy from the eclipse is calling us to release our negative patterns and heal old wounds. So as you look into the darkness, find just one old wound or issue or unresolved feelings. Find that and bring it to the surface. So take a deep breath, and if you would, write that issue or that pain on a small piece of paper like this one. You don't have to write the whole experience, but write 2 or 3 words that will bring it to mind for you. I'm going to write mine right now. And now take another deep breath. And now look at the light from your candle. Look at that candle. And if you're in a place where you can burn a piece of paper, do that now with your candle. Set that paper on fire. And if you're not in a place where you're comfortable with burning that piece of paper, tear it in half or maybe a couple of times, or fold it up. Because later, when you can go outside or in a place where it's safe to burn it, burn that paper. That won't release all of that issue, but it will help. It will be an opening that the eclipse brings to us. So I've torn mine into several small pieces, and I'm going to light one piece of this and drop it over in my sage bowl so it can burn down, and I'll burn the rest of it later. And go back to the light from your candle, looking at that candlelight, and remember your dancing clothes or your objects of joy, whatever you've brought that brings you joy. And now that you've brought that painful memory back up to the surface, shake your body, or even get up and, twirl around the room or something, but shake it off, shake it away, let it go, let it go, let it go, shake it off. Woo! Let's release that and let the universe take that energy. And we'll need to work more on it to truly get it out of our memory and out of our body. But this is a big start in letting that go. And because our moon and eclipse are coming in Scorpio, Scorpio is a water sign, we're going to use water as we often do in these ceremonies. Our bodies are about 60% water, and just as the tides change with the moon's movement, our bodies feel that pull of the moon. So I've asked you to bring 2 containers of water with you today, one that you could put your hands in or spray, and one that you could drink. So I have my 2 here. And so bring those close to you. You can hold them in your hands if that's comfortable, but you can also put them down beside you, just, so that they're within your vision, they're near you. And what we're going to do is bless this water, both of these waters. And then I'm going to chant and rattle for a little bit, but first, let's call on the divine light and say, Holy One, divine feminine, divine masculine, come with us this day and pour your light energy into these containers of water. Let this water be blessed and purified. Let this water be in harmony with the divine light. Let this water clear away any residue of negative thought, negative action, negative energy. Let this water rinse and clear and clean me. Let this water be filled with joy. And so as you hold that water or look at your water, think of the joy that you experience now, joy that you've experienced in the past, joy that you hope to experience in the future, and pour that joy into your water. And while you continue to bless your water and say thank you to the blessing, I'll rattle for just a minute so you can really hold that in. And while I rattle, once you have filled your water with the joy, anoint yourself. If you have a spray bottle, then spray yourself. Woo! Just sprayed my my face with this water and around my head and my hair. Spray yourself with the water or dip your hands in and anoint yourself with hands on top of your head and on your face and around. And anoint yourself and feel the blessings. Let light come into your body today. Bring light into your water memories. Bring light to heal the past and shed the light on paths to come. Take another deep breath and release that. And now pick up your container of water to drink and drink that water. Drink some of it or drink all of it. If you drink some of it now, save the rest for later. Wow, I drank half my glass. Ooh. And let that light that you put into that water, that we put into the water together, let that light fill your body. Let the water fill your body. And know that you are filled with blessings. And those memories that you brought up, those memories that were difficult, let the water heal those memories. Let the water soothe the pain that perhaps is there. And let the light begin to heal the scab of the wound so that you can let go of those. And now we're not quite ready to close, but before we get to that point, I'd like you to think about some joyful things of being together today. What is, write down on a piece of paper or just think about, what about the ceremony today has brought you joy? What new ideas might have come to you today in the ceremony? As I was preparing for ceremony this morning, I had a couple of things that came to me, and I immediately put those into action. One of them was to write something on a piece of paper to put in my prayer bowl, and I did that. And so, what new ideas might have come up while we were in ceremony today? And think about or write down what you will implement to support your healing today. What action will you take? What will lead you to really get to this? I've been dealing with an issue, and I've done some shamanic work with it, and I've done several things. This has been over about the last year and a half, 2 years. And recently I went to have some body work done, not thinking about that issue at all. It was something else totally different. And I'm on this table, and the issue came up to the surface. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? And I realized, and my body worker worked through this with me, like I really did some real work to release that particular issue, but it was still in my body the memory of that issue was held in my bones and my joints and my blood. And so I needed to release it, not just from my mind and my emotions, but release it from my physical body. So if you've got an old issue, because mine was from several past lives as well as this current life. And so you may have something that you're holding in your body that you need to help move along. And so I highly recommend that you do something physical specifically with that healing in mind. And do it on your own through yoga or exercise or walking a labyrinth or something. You might choose to have some body work done and focus on that. Do meditation, whatever method is workable for you. But think about those methods today and take note of that and say, okay, I know I need to go deeper than just forgiveness and gratitude. I need to do something physical to move through that. So bring that to the surface and write that down. And so in just a few minutes, I want to open the microphone so that you can share, if you choose to, with anything that has come up today. But before I do that, let's thank the ancestors for being here with us and ask them to stay with us if they can, if they will, if it's helpful and beneficial. And those who need to go on their way, those who need to go to be other places, go, and we thank them. And so I start in the north and say, thank you, Ma'at and Danu, and all of the energies of the north who've come today. Thank you for coming. And all of the ancestors who rose up from the west to help us in introspection, thank you for coming. Thank you for the joy and the laughter coming from the south, and thank you for the illumination coming from the east. We ask you to stay if you can, go if you must. Thank you for your energies. Thank you to Mother Earth. Thank you to the heavenly beings. Oh. So I have myself spotlighted. Let me change that, move the spotlight, and take us to gallery view for the recording. Our next ceremony, moon ceremony like this, will be, let me look at my notes over here. July the 17th is the new moon, and August 1st is the full moon. And it's the Celtic Lunasa or Lunasa. It's also called Lammas. Will be our next ceremony. And of course, I'll send out an email when we get close to that date. And it's also will be posted on my website under the tab that says Moon Ceremony. So you can look there for that. But what I would like to do, if anyone is willing, share something that came to you today, a joy or something that you are releasing, whatever this has stirred for you and come to the surface. Anybody want to start? You can just unmute yourself and go ahead and speak.
Hi, I'll start.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll start if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. I don't see you, but I hear you.
I know it's when I unmuted, it says that stops the video. I don't know why.
Okay.
But if I can change that, I will.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Hi, thank you, Peggy. This was beautiful.
Thank you.
I didn't realize how much I just needed to get out of my head into the elements of the water and the fire. And it was just that just sort of calmed down my nervous system so beautifully.
Mm,
Thank you so very much.
yes. Oh, thank you for coming. Yeah. Mary.
I just want to say a great deal of thank you. Yesterday, I felt the energy very deeply, and to a point that I was aware of the fact that I was both getting antsy and also that I was getting to a place of almost no affect. It was like going back and forth. And at one time in my life, I would have been afraid that I was moving into depression. But I realized that I wasn't going to fight what was going on with me. I was just going to let it be because I knew it would just pass. And today has been so lovely because it's helped me to refocus on joy. And at the time I was going through that yesterday, I was very well aware of the fact that I am responsible for my own vibration and that I had let my vibration get quite low. But I also didn't beat myself up about it. I just let it be because I also felt like I was experiencing some really heavy energy and some things that were coming up. And so in this today, I was able to just offer some forgiveness and blessing and release. And that was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, who else would like to go?
I would like to go. This is Lynn. I live in Washington State. Yet early, but not that early. I want to say thank you for the ceremony today. And I didn't know about cutting the rosemary, so I went out and cut some rosemary. Mine, it survives the winter, but it didn't do real well this winter. I don't know why. Anyway, there's still some growing, and I have lavender too. So I wanted to say I've been taking this class called what's it called? Goddess. What's the name of it? The Goddess Experience with Acharya Shunya. I don't know if you know who she is, but she wrote a book called Roar Like a Goddess. Everyone needs to read it. It's amazing. And it's a class, of course, like 20 weeks on the Sounds True network. You know, I can't remember the lady's name that runs it. Anyway, the first part is on Durga, and then it goes with Lakshmi and Saraswati and the avatars that we've had 3 or 4 weeks. So I bought this Durga statue about 3 years ago during COVID, and I have Lakshmi, and I've always related to Saraswati, and I like a lot of the Egyptian goddesses too, but
Hold it
Durga.
up again. I just
Go ahead.
switched screens, so we've got full shot on that.
Can
Yeah.
you see it?
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
I ordered from I don't know what company on eBay or
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
eBay,
beautiful,
but
beautiful.
yeah, I can't remember why I was attracted to her. It's really strange. I know it happens a lot. You don't know why you're called to certain things. And Saraswati I knew, but Lakshmi I'm not even sure either. But it's okay. So she's really helped me, Durga. She talks about calling on her for help, and the different avatars have different purposes, and it's been a really interesting class. I just wanted to, it goes along with this somewhat, but I mean, it helps yourself. And yeah, I did some releasing, and I did burn my little paper in a little piece of metal, a metal lid I had that worked. It worked good. I was looking at my notes, see if anything else, but yeah, the joy, it's so hard, so easy to get away from our thinking what's joyful to us, dwelling on what we need to do or what has happened to us and why did that happen. And so I try not to, but we're human and things happen, and just have to deal with it. The other thing I was going to say was there's a emotional release technique that I go to a practitioner for. I've been going 15 years or so, called neuro emotional technique, NET. And if anyone has emotions stuck in their body, it's amazing what it can help you with, things you had no clue about, people. So, well, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Anyone else want to share?
I'd like to say thank you too, Peggy. Your rituals are always just so powerful. I mean, I have a deep visceral response in the body as we move through the rituals. It was especially powerful to remember that, you know, the gratitude is such a portal to a higher vibrational energy. It can lift us right up, you know, out of those lower vibrations, and then, you know, to bless the water with joy. Just so beautiful. And I think what happens for me is I've just had a major transition moving from Arizona, where the skies are always clear, sun and moon always visible, to Oregon, where there's dense cloud cover and I can't see them. But I always have to remind myself they're there. I can feel them, similar to the light within inside myself. Sometimes I can't always connect to it, but it's there, even if it's under a shadow. And these types of rituals just reactivate that. And I'm just so very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hello
Deborah?
there, goddesses. Yes, thank you so much, Peggy. This was such a blessing, and may blessings abound for everyone. Beltane, this eclipse and full moon. I really felt such feminine energy rising, especially yesterday, last night, in dream time and vision time. And I had a very deep experience, and what was coming to me with some healing with my daughter was this beautiful chalice that I have. And I use it in a sacred manner, a chalice of remembrance. And it was just, everything, things have been buried, semi-buried and gray, and I wanted to be done with it. And so we had a great healing, my daughter and I just speaking at the soul level, and all this beautiful golden light came through, and I was so blessed. And today, just having with your ceremony so much gratitude and joy, and also just a wonderful release with the fire, writing down, just releasing some fear, you know, for me to clear my way and just really move forward on my visions for my life, you know. Just speaking authentically in public and not having that worry, like, do I have the full story? Am I correct? Just letting go of that. So it was just beautiful. We have the wisdom, we don't control everything.
Right.
I'm the facilitator, co-creator.
Co-creator, absolutely.
Be fluid with it, you know. So it's wonderful. So thank you. And thank you for wearing your wonderful dress about dance.
Yeah.
I love to dance. That was just another joy. So thank you.
Thank you.
And part of what I'm working on. New songs, new dances, you know, for this special time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Who else would like to speak? All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Let me stop the recording. Thank you for coming. This has just been so amazing, and I'm so grateful for each of you who are here live, and for those who will watch the recording later. Thank you. Thank you.